Susan, welcome back to the Independent Republic. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
How the devil are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
What on earth is going on in this country when 3 serving police officers, one of them a superintendent, takes part in what is effectively an illegal invasion of a football pitch, and they don't get prosecuted?
I know. I
mean, really?
Foolish of them. I suppose they will say they were taken up with the moment, with their teams, etc., etc. But they should know better.
A superintendent of Dorset Police breaks the law, and nobody bothers about it, and nobody tells them to do anything, like even taking a fine. There's not even a fine given out.
No, I know. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah,
it's not good.
We haven't spoken, you and I, for a while, but last time we spoke, Crossrail wasn't finished. Nobody thought it would ever be finished. It's now finally been finished. It's cost £4 billion more than it was supposed to, which is a lot of money. It's just opened today. They've just evacuated it at Paddington for some reason or other. Sadiq Khan's going on as if it's the greatest invention since the pyramids. Is it?
I haven't actually been there. I have been invited, but been busy doing other things.
Actually working?
I couldn't possibly say that, but I have a lot of faith in Andy Byford, who has taken this up. But because it came as a shock to us 3.5 years ago that it wasn't going to open when they said it was going to open, and how it then costs so many millions and millions more, and 3.5 years later is beyond me. But let's hope it works. Let's hope this is just a glitch today and we can move on.
I mean, for people who listen to this show and watch this show outside of London, it will mean literally nothing, you know, because all they know is that when today there is a vote for the RMT to strike over the course of the summer, which could completely wreck every single public transportation system in the country, because all trains might not work from Manchester to London, from Birmingham to London, from, Edinburgh to Glasgow. It could all go. And then nobody's going to come here. No.
The thing with the RMT, they're all on about, up the workers and all of this. You hear this year on year. It's workers that are not going to be able to get into work if they do these strikes as they're threatening. I think it's disgraceful. I don't think they should be allowed to strike because they can hold us all to ransom.
Well, also, doesn't it tell you an awful lot about the people who run these unions that they're actually going to strike over the course of this, the Platinum Jubilee weekend on the tubes, and they're going to shut specifically Green Park Station, which is the one closest to Buckingham Palace?
Yes, absolutely outrageous.
I mean, it's ideological, isn't it?
Of course it is. I mean, so many of these things are absolutely outrageous. They should not be allowed to strike. I hope we manage to do something to at least going forward to have a skeleton of staff there, because if nothing else, they need to stop and think about this. We need nurses to get to work, we need police officers, firefighters to get to work, etc. And a lot of them depend on public transport. We're all told we have to use public transport, and then of course they hold us to ransom because they want more and more wage increases.
Yeah, I mean, Mick Lynch, right, the guy that runs the RMT, I saw him being interviewed last night. These guys don't make bad money. Tube drivers, train drivers make pretty good money. Mick Lynch, do you know what he makes? £124,000 a year as a union rep.
Yeah, I know. Well, the facility time for the unions, just on Transport for London, is exorbitant. It really is.
It really is unbelievable. So, I mean, I don't have any high hopes for the RMT vote today. But what can we do, for example, as a government, and for, in your case, as local London government, to stop these strikes from taking place? Is there anything you can do?
Well, there's nothing we can do. We've asked
nothing legally?
We've asked Khan to look into it. He said they should all get round the table, but he's about as useless as nothing, as you well know.
Right. Well, he's just got back from California on his little jolly to America. What was that all about?
Well, you tell me.
And why are we paying for that, by the way?
Well, we're putting questions as to how much it's cost and who has paid for it.
And how many people went with him. Because I was staggered to see that he was in what looked like Rockefeller Plaza, outside of the old NBC building, having a sort of effectively a rally with loads of people there. Now, I don't believe that anyone in New York City knows who the hell Sadiq Khan is, so the people who were there must have been organised to be there, right?
I assume so. Of course they don't know who he is. I mean, outside London, I doubt that many people know who he is.
No.
It's a pain in the neck for most of us.
Does he still have ambitions to be leader of the Labour Party, do you think?
Of course, absolutely.
I don't think encouraging Sir Keir Starmer to step aside if he gets done for his own Beergate scenario. Well,
that'll be interesting. You won't read that in any of the papers, will you? They're obsessed with the Prime Minister. And then there's this deathly silence when it comes to Beergate.
Yes, and Angela Rayner yesterday had the temerity to suggest that Boris Johnson should step aside. It's like, hang on a minute.
Because he's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the woman who said, whose office said that you didn't go to an event which you were actually at.
Yes, and she must have known that was wrong when she heard them saying that she wasn't there. She must have known it was wrong.
But she didn't correct it.
No, she didn't.
Instead, she came out with all that sort of that ridiculous cock and bull story about, the Sharon Stone scenario, which turned out to be something that she had started herself.
I know. I mean, talk about embarrassing.
I mean, are we now at sort of the bottom troughing of politics? Because, I mean, Julie Hartley-Brewer said to me just before we started, I have a great deal of hope that we have politicians with integrity, that we have politicians with honour. And I said, well, to be honest, I can't think of the last time I looked up to people who are our MPs or our cabinet or our government ministers with anything other than just they're doing a job. I don't expect them to be moral crusaders. I certainly don't want them to tell me how to behave and how to live my life. But I don't really look up to them. I never have.
No, but equally, I don't think the public knows an awful lot of the work that MPs do. They certainly do more than is.
Oh no, listen, I get that, but the fact,
of both sides, of all sides.
The trouble with the stories that have been coming out of late, though, Susan, is that the impression is given that the MPs in the Commons are having this kind of party lifestyle, having a great time, occasionally doing things they shouldn't be doing, and not doing very much work. And you and I both know that's not true. But that's the impression.
Yes, and it's very damaging to politics. I mean, lots of these so-called parties or leaving do's or whatever they were organised by civil servants. Yeah. They weren't organised by the politicians.
Right.
But as always, the politicians are the ones that are in the front line. But there are so many very good politicians of all different parties that are out there really working very, very hard. And those of us that are in politics do see it. We also see ones that maybe aren't so much.
Well, let's talk about Sadiq Khan a bit more, because he's not one that seems to do an awful lot of work. And I know that from your conversations with me in the past, you were always frustrated at the fact that quite often during lockdowns and during COVID, he just didn't have Mayor's question time at all, did he?
He just went missing.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. He just went missing. Didn't do anything. So, I mean, he'll never get accused of having any knees up, because nobody knew where he was, what he was doing. He just wasn't interacting with anybody.
And how is it now? Is it any better?
Well, he comes down to this new building where he's put us in the Victoria Docks. I mean, it's...
Oh, what? You're not in the Globe building anymore?
No, we're not in the proper...
Well, what's going on in there?
I don't know. Nothing. I think it's empty.
So what, they've evacuated that office in order for you to work further away from the centre of town?
Further away from central town. People don't want to go there. Constituents that used to come and see us to ask us issues, obviously you can get to London Bridge quite easily.
Yes.
You cannot get down to where the Crystal is easily. And it's quite sad today coming here, looking at the old building, thinking it was purpose-built, and that
And what's the plan for it then?
Man moved us.
Are they selling it off? What?
No, we don't own it. It's owned by other people.
Right. So what? They're just going to rent it out to somebody else?
I honestly don't know.
That's a shocking thing. I mean, for me not to know that is quite shocking. But also, I had no clue that was what was going on.
Yes, it's appalling. Everybody was against it, including the Labour members, but they didn't speak up.
Right.
They certainly didn't speak up loud enough. No, we're I call it the arse end of the East End, which goes down like a lead balloon.
But it is, though.
I mean, it's so difficult to get there. It really is. And you only need one of your connections to go wrong. And we have to be there for 9:30, which is fine.
Right.
But when you live the other side of London, so
right.
I'm leaving home sort of 6:15.
That's